I buried my wolf the day my mother died, convinced I could live ordinary if I just stayed hidden. But when my little brother shifted too soon, the sheriff's silver eyes burned straight through my lies. That was the moment my past clawed its way back and dragged us both into a web of betrayal and forbidden desire. If you believe love and danger walk hand in hand, subscribe to Rene's romance stories before fate pulls us deeper. My name is Mara Hale. I'm 24, and on paper I'm nothing. Barista, part-time thrift shop clerk, small apartment off Harbor Street with a balcony that groans in high wind. My neighbors think I'm shy. The landlord thinks I'm forgettable. Good. Forgettable is safe. What they don't know, I'm an Omega born to a bloodline that should have been erased. I carry a wolf I've starved quiet for 7 years. I'm guardian to a boy who shouldn't exist. Breakfast, I call, even though we eat after the morning rush. The sun isn't up yet. The kitchen smells like cinnamon and old wood. I'm mixing batter with one hand and spooning a syrupy tincture with the other. Mugwort and feverfew, crushed nettle, a sprig of rue. Mother's recipe, a hush for wild things. Jamie shuffles in, hair a collision of curls, shirt on backward, sleep clinging to him like fog. 12 going on feral. He yawns and makes a beeline for the pancakes. Medicine first. I tip the brown glass bottle, counting silent beats as drops patter into his mug. All of it. He wrinkles his nose. Tastes like a graveyard. That's the idea. He rolls his eyes, gulps, and shudders. I watch his throat work. Pretend my chest doesn't ache. The herbs dampen what's inside him. They dampen me, too. We've lived by the clock of carefulness for so long I can feel the dosage time in my bones. 7 a.m., 7 p.m., never late. If I am, the edges of me sharpen, and my senses flood open like doors in a storm. The news murmurs from a battered radio. The names are like stones dropped in a well. Authorities ask for continued vigilance after the disappearance of... I turn the dial off. The silence is sudden and heavy. Jamie's eyes flick to mine. He knows better than to ask. Missing Omegas are not morning conversation. Missing Omegas are a threat that pads our hallway in the dark and checks if we remembered to lock the door. I dreamed of Mom, he says, picking at the crust of his pancake. Her hands smelled like metal. Like when you cut your finger and suck it to make it stop. The room tilts. That's oddly specific. She was writing. It sounded like scratching. She looked at me and said, "Not yet," like I'm supposed to wait for something. I keep my face calm. Inside, ice, metal, writing. Mother's blood always smelled metallic the night she... No. I push the memory back into its box. Lid tight. Thread cinched. Dreams are weird, I say lightly. Eat before it gets cold. He eats. I try. The pancakes taste like ash. The tincture taste is still on my tongue, bitter as regret. I walk him to school at 7:30 because we don't risk buses. Not when some elders still know the chisel of our cheekbones, the specific tilt of our eyes. Not when Hale is a name burned into too many old council records. Harbor Street yawns into Maine, storefronts still sleeping. Salt from the bay rides the breeze. The coffee shop will open soon, and I'll steam milk and smile and pretend I'm human. We cut through the park to shave time. The air has a crisp bite. Geese carve the pond, leaving V's like letters I can't read. And then, scent. Copper, pine, electric ozone. My head snaps up. The world sharpens. Dew beads like mercury on grass blades. The veining on a leaf is a map. An ant drags a crumb like a hero. I taste the metallic tang I've been trying to forget. Mara? Jamie's voice threads through me, thin and scared. His pupils are blown wide. Shadows lie under his eyes, too deep for a 12-year-old. The herbs don't seem to be holding. Not today. Not under this moon, even if it's pale daylight. Breathe, I say, because breathing kept me alive when everything else failed. In for 4, out for 8. He nods, tries. His shoulders hunch. He gasps. Then I hear it, a slick pop of cartilage, a crack, soft but undeniable, like a twig beneath a careful boot. His fingers hook into claws that haven't grown. His teeth pressure the seams of his gums as if something inside wants out. It is too soon. It is too soon. Look at me, cub, I whisper, crouching to catch his eyes. My palms cradle his jaw, thumbs on his cheeks the way Mother did mine. You're here. You are safe. Pull back. He whines, wolf sound, terrified, and it knifes me open. My own wolf lurches toward the sound, smashing into the herb dam that holds her at bay. Moonlight memory floods my mouth. Smoke. Fur. Blood. Not now. Not now. I wrap my arms around him, my body a shield, and steer him onto a bench. The park is empty except for an older couple and a dog whose ears prick, then flatten. The dog tucks its tail and drags its human away. Animals always know. Jamie's bones quiet. The storm passes, leaving aftershocks that tremble through him. His breathing evens, but his skin is hot, and he smells like lightning. Maybe I should stay home, he says, voice small. He hates sounding small. Yeah, the word is sawdust. We'll call it a stomach bug. He nods, ashamed because he thinks he made a mistake. He didn't. Biology did. My mother's blood did. The council did when they carved Hales into cautionary tales. We turn back. I tuck him into the worn couch with a blanket and stack textbooks like a fortress. I text my boss a lie. I measure more tincture. My hands don't shake until I twist the cap closed. On the top shelf of the pantry, buried under oatmeal and dusty spices, sits a wooden box I pretend doesn't exist. The lid bears 3 claw marks burned deep into the grain. Mother's mark. I told myself I wouldn't open it unless I had no choice. Maybe I've run out of choices. I slide it down. The metal latch is cool against my thumb. It clicks open with a sound like a sigh. Inside, a leather-bound journal, edges darkened with old blood, paper that smells like iron and rain. A thin chain with a cracked moonstone, my mother's necklace. A folded package of herbs with a label in her small, precise hand. For the wolf in hiding. And a letter, blood-sealed, addressed not to Mara, but to daughter. My throat seizes around that word. I peel the seal. The inside is a map of my mother's guilt. If you're reading this, I failed. I sit on the kitchen floor, tile cold under my thighs, and devour each line. She writes about the council's culling, softening their cruelty with bureaucratic syllables. She writes about omegas disappearing, how some were taken for balance and some because of lineage. She writes, I did what I had to do to keep you and Jamie alive. I bartered blood for blood. I promised them I would finish what another started, the betrayal that runs in our line. The words smear. My eyes blur. Betrayal. Unfinished. A bargain I never agreed to. I skim further, knuckles whitening on the paper. Names. A mark. a phrase she underlined twice. The Hale debt. I press my palm to my sternum to steady the ache. The scent of metal thickens. For a moment, I swear I hear scraping, like a pen scratching, like a claw on wood. I glance at the door, expecting, what? A shadow. A wolf. My mother's ghost. Jamie's cough snaps me back. He's awake, watching me from the couch, pupils still too big. You okay? Fine, I lie, because lies are armor we can afford. I tuck the letter back like I can unsee it. I slide the box into the pantry behind the oatmeal. I wash my face in the sink and watch cold water warp my reflection. The girl who stares back looks like me, but not. The lines around my mouth are older, the eyes too bright. The wolf inside is pacing. A fist raps the door. 3 measured knocks, not the sloppy impatience of a neighbor, not the quick, friendly rhythm of the landlord. Each tap lands like a gavel. My blood drops in temperature. My first instinct is flight. My second is to bare my teeth. I do neither. I smooth my hair, wipe my hands on a dish towel, and step to the peephole. Silver eyes. Sheriff Rowan Cole stands on the landing, uniform too neatly pressed for this early, jaw shadowed with a day's worth of stubborn. He's the kind of handsome that doesn't help anyone. Clean lines, a mouth made for orders, a gaze that strips you to bone. He looks up as if he can feel me watching. He always could. A trick of wolves, even suppressed, we sense when predators linger outside our door. Jamie shifts on the couch. His scent spikes. Fear, adolescent and raw. I don't have time to hide the evidence of this morning. The apartment is full of it. The tincture bottle, the blanket, the sound of my heart pitching itself against my ribs. Stay there, I whisper. Don't make a sound. I unchain the lock and open the door just enough to fill the gap with my body. Cool hall air slides over my skin. Rowan's gaze skims my face, my neck, the pulse that jumps like he can count it. Mara, he says. Sheriff? My tone is neutral porcelain. You weren't at the cafe. His voice is low, carrying a rasp like gravel under tires. Your boss called the station. Thought something happened. I texted. I keep my breath steady, aware of every scent in the hall, detergent, old paint, something metallic on Rowan's cuffs. Silver. Of course. His eyes tilt with a private thought. Can I come in? No. A corner of his mouth lifts, not amused, acknowledging the fence I just built. We need to talk. We're talking. Inside, Mara. My name in his mouth scrapes like a match head. I angle the door tighter. Why? He studies me. He's good at silence, at letting the weight of it push people into spilling themselves. I learned to love silence before I learned words. I can wait him out. He doesn't make me. There was an incident at the park, he says. My spine wire tenses. A witness reported something unusual. A boy. Dark curls. Gray hoodie. With his sister. He knows, or he suspects. His eyes flick, a quick sweep past my shoulder toward the couch he can't see. The wolf inside me lifts her head, lips peeling back from phantom teeth. I draw myself taller. Lots of boys have curls. Not lots of boys put fear into dogs. His voice has no shock in it, just a steady heat. Not lots of boys smell like ozone and copper. I hate him a little for the accuracy. I hate how my body recognizes something in him anyway. Pack, danger, gravity. I hate that his presence makes the apartment feel smaller and my skin feel too tight. "What do you want, Sheriff?" I manage. His answer is simple. Heavy. Answers. The word drops between us and cracks the air. From the couch, Jamie coughs again, small and betraying. Rowan's eyes sharpen. The wolf inside me surges, slamming against her bars. Crimson versus white, oaths in blood, moonlight like a blade on Rowan's badge. I open the door another inch, enough to make my meaning clear, and my threat quieter. If you take one step inside, we'll have a different conversation. About what? He asks, not moving. About the last time a Hale let a sheriff cross a threshold, I say softly. And how it ended. His jaw ticks. His gaze cuts to the thin chain around my throat, the cracked moonstone I hadn't realized I put on. Mother's relic glints like a warning. Rowan lowers his voice. I'm not here to take anyone. I'm here to keep them breathing. Who's them? My palm finds the doorframe. I ground myself in splinters. Because some sheriffs mean the pack when they say that. Some mean the council, and some mean whoever signs the orders. He exhales, and it carries years. I mean the ones who keep going missing. The words ring in the apartment like a bell. Missing. Missing omegas with names that burn if you say them too loud. My mother's letter on the counter like an open wound. Let me in, he says, softer now. And something inside me lists toward him despite everything. Behind me, Jamie whispers, Mara? Rowan hears. Of course he does. And I see the moment the suspicion darkens to certainty in his eyes. The air thins. The door feels like paper. My mother's blood hums in my ears. Not yet, I say to myself. To him, to the old betrayal that lurks in the pantry. Then I step back from the door. Rowan stepped inside, like the threshold was always his. No hesitation. His boots thudded on the floorboards, the sound too heavy for this small apartment. My wolf recoiled, pressing hard against my ribs, snarling at the invasion. Jamie sat rigid on the couch, blanket clutched to his chest. His eyes darted between me and Rowan, panic trembling in the corners of his mouth. Easy, Rowan said, voice low, the kind of calm that could unmake storms. His silver eyes flicked to Jamie, then back to me. You've been hiding him. I stiffened. He's my brother. Brothers don't shift this early. Rowan's tone hardened, quiet steel. 12 years old and bones already cracking? That doesn't happen. Not unless bloodlines are involved. Bloodlines people don't want to talk about. Jamie's breathing hitched. I stepped between them, shoulders squared, fury biting at my restraint. Leave him out of this. He's just a kid. Rowan tilted his head, studying me like I was a puzzle he'd already started to solve. Kids don't scare dogs. Kids don't smell like thunder in daylight. His gaze sharpened, catching on the faint mark at Jamie's wrist where claws had almost torn free. He's not just a kid. And you're not just human. The words fell like silver chains. I wanted to lie, the way I always had. But Rowan's stare was surgical, too precise, too patient. The silence stretched, thick with my heartbeat. Finally, I said, You think you know what we are. You don't. His jaw flexed, but he didn't look away. Then enlighten me. Because right now, I've got a boy shifting too soon, a sister dosing him with herbs, and whispers of omegas vanishing from towns just like ours. You tell me, how long before he's next? The question cut deeper than accusation. It was truth, naked and merciless. Jamie flinched. I felt his fear slide into me, salt on an open wound. Rowan took a step closer. Not threatening, measured, deliberate. I can protect him, Mara. But not if you keep lying. Not if you keep pretending you're ordinary. Heat rushed my throat. My wolf pressed harder, frantic. My mother's letter burned in my memory. I bartered blood for blood. The Hale debt. The unfinished betrayal. Trusting Rowan could be fatal. But not trusting him, that could cost Jamie his life. You don't know what you're asking, I whispered. Then make me understand. His voice softened, but his eyes were relentless. Because if I'm right, this isn't just about your brother. It's about you. And if that's true, the council already knows. The words hollowed me out. Council. Always circling, always hungry. Jamie's small voice broke the silence. Mara? I turned. His face was pale, his hands trembling as if the shift still whispered under his skin. He looked like he was shrinking under Rowan's scrutiny, like he was ready to be taken. I knelt beside him, cupping his cheek. No one's taking you, I promised. My wolf lent her growl to my voice, a thread of steel under the whisper. When I looked back at Rowan, I let him see it. The fire I usually buried, the warning, the promise. You want answers? My voice was low, dangerous. Then swear to me, on your blood. Swear you won't use what you learned to hand us over. Rowan's eyes flickered. For a heartbeat, I thought he'd refuse. Then he slid a small blade from his belt, its hilt worn smooth with years. He pricked his thumb, crimson welling up bright as the moon at dusk. He held it out. I swear. The scent of his blood filled the room, rich, sharp, undeniable. Something inside me ached at it, a dangerous pull that wasn't just wolf. I pressed Jamie closer, shielding him from it. My own pulse thundered. Rowan's oath might bind him, or it might bind me. The sheriff didn't look away. Now, Mara, he said, voice even, but threaded with heat. Tell me the truth. Before the council comes knocking, and in that moment, with Jamie trembling at my side and Rowan's blood oath hanging between us, I realized something terrible. If I confessed, I'd be betraying the secret my mother died to protect. If I stayed silent, I'd be betraying Jamie. There was no safe choice. Only fire. The knock rattled again, louder this time. Rowan's voice cut through the wood, sharp and raw. Mara, if you don't open this door, I'll break it down. Jamie flinched at the threat. His small fingers clutched the blanket so hard his knuckles paled. Don't let him in, he whispered. Please. Every instinct in me screamed to obey him, to keep Rowan out, to keep our secrets locked in the journal pressed against my chest. But his words, they've taken another omega. The trail leads back to you, still rang in my skull. If he was bluffing, it meant he already suspected too much. If he wasn't, then the debt my mother left behind was spiraling faster than I could contain. I stood, smoothing my shirt, hiding the journal under the couch cushion where Jamie sat. His eyes followed me, frightened, betrayed. Trust me, I whispered. His lip trembled. Like Mom? The words gutted me, but I turned away before he could see the break in my face. I opened the door. Rowan stood there, storm in his shoulders, silver eyes burning like moonlight on a blade. His jaw was tight, his uniform jacket dark with damp. He'd run here. He scanned me, then the room behind me, quick as a hunter. His nostrils flared. He smelled the fear, the herbs, the faint metallic tang of my mother's bloodline. His gaze landed on Jamie. You shouldn't be here, I said. Neither should you, Rowan shot back. He stepped inside without waiting for permission. Another Omega went missing last night. 6 towns over. Same pattern, same signs. My wolf stirred. Signs? Blood at the window. Scratched letters on the sill. His eyes pinned mine. Same handwriting as the note I know you found. My breath caught. For a moment I forgot how to breathe. He hadn't even looked, yet he knew. "You're following me," I accused. "Not you." His tone dropped, softer. "The debt. Wherever it goes, you're already tangled in it." The word debt coiled through me like barbed wire. "You don't know what you're talking about." His gaze was steady, too steady. "I know enough. And I know you can help me find whoever's behind this." I laughed, bitter. "Help you? Why would I?" "Because the council's already circling. Because your brother doesn't have time for your stubborn pride. And because, whether you like it or not, you're the only one with blood that matches the trail." The air between us snapped tight. My wolf bared her teeth. My pulse betrayed me, racing under his scrutiny. "You expect me to just... what? Walk into this with you?" "Yes." His answer was immediate, brutal. "Because if you don't, Mara, the next Omega they take might be your brother." Jamie's sharp inhale was like glass breaking. My chest caved. I looked at Rowan, searching for cracks in his resolve, for some sign this wasn't manipulation. But his eyes, damn his eyes, held no triumph, only a fierce, unyielding promise. "Why?" I demanded. "Why protect me at all?" "I'm not your responsibility." Rowan's expression shifted. For the briefest second, something softer broke through. The kind of softness a man shouldn't let anyone see. "You're wrong," he said quietly. "You've been my responsibility since the day your mother's blood stained the council's floor." The words slammed into me. My throat closed. He knew. He'd always known. Jamie whispered, "Mara?" His voice trembled like a candle in wind. I turned, forcing steadiness I didn't feel. "Go to your room, cub." "But..." "Now." My wolf's edge cut the word. He obeyed, slipping into the small bedroom and shutting the door. Rowan stepped closer. Close enough that the heat of him curled around me. Close enough that the faint scent of pine and steel filled my lungs. His voice dropped to a growl. "Whatever your mother started, it's not finished. And you can't outrun it alone. You need me." My chest heaved. The distance between us crackled, sharp and dangerous. His oath still hung in the air, binding me to a man I shouldn't trust, pulling me toward him anyway. "If you're lying," I whispered, "if this is just another betrayal, then put a blade in my heart when it's done." His silver eyes burned. "But until then, Mara, we hunt together." Rowan's words lingered like smoke. "Since the day your mother's blood stained the council's floor." "You were there," I said, my voice a rasp. His jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. "I was 17. My father made me watch." The wolf inside me surged at his admission, claws scraping. "So that's it. You're his hound, still carrying out his orders?" "No." Rowan's voice sharpened like flint. "I've spent 10 years cleaning up the council's filth, hunting the ones who trade Omegas like cattle. If you think I'd follow in my father's shadow, you don't know me. Then why circle me like prey? Because you walk in the middle of every trail I follow. Because every time an Omega disappears, your mother's name surfaces. His eyes locked on mine, silver burning with something fierce. Because protecting you might be the only way to end this. The room shrank around us, the silence pressing too close. I hated the way my heart stuttered, the way my body tilted toward him despite every warning screaming in my skull. I don't need your protection. Maybe not, he said, stepping closer, lowering his voice until it scraped against my bones. But your brother does. That arrow hit true. Jamie's scent still carried fear, clinging to the apartment walls. My throat ached. What's your price, Sheriff? I asked bitterly. Everyone wants something. His gaze dipped to my mouth for a heartbeat before he pulled it back to my eyes. Answers. That's all? You help me find the truth. I help you keep him safe. The wolf in me paced, restless. His blood oath still shimmered between us, binding us tighter than I wanted to admit. I don't trust you, I said. Rowan's lips curved, not quite a smile. Something darker, edged with challenge. Good. Trust gets people killed. But an alliance? That might keep you alive. He stepped back then, breaking the pull, leaving me cold and furious at the emptiness. We start tonight. The trail led us to the edge of town, to the ruins of an old mill the pack had abandoned decades ago. Rowan drove in silence, jaw clenched, eyes fixed ahead. I kept my hands wrapped around my mother's journal, the leather warm against my palms like it held its own pulse. The mill loomed against the night sky, jagged beams like broken ribs. The air smelled wrong. Rust, pine sap, and something copper sweet. My stomach twisted. Stay close, Rowan murmured as we stepped inside. His hand brushed my back, steadying, but the contact jolted me like fire. We found it in the center of the floor, a circle scorched into the wood, symbols carved deep with claws. In the middle lay an envelope, its seal smeared with dried blood. Rowan crouched first, gloved fingers tracing the circle. It's a binding mark, old magic. My breath caught. The seal bore 3 claw marks burned into the wax, the same as my mother's box. My knees went weak. It's hers. Rowan looked up sharply. Your mother's? I swallowed. The Hale mark. She used it on everything she wanted bound. Promises. Secrets. I reached for the envelope, but Rowan's hand shot out, catching mine midair. His grip was warm, steady, too steady. His eyes pinned me. If you open it, there's no going back. My pulse thundered. There was never going back. Our fingers tangled over the seal. For a moment, the danger faded, replaced by a pull stronger than fear, sharper than reason. His scent, pine, smoke, steel, wrapped around me, coaxing, binding. I tore the envelope open. The parchment inside was stained, the ink smeared but legible. Words carved themselves into my chest as I read, "The Hales owe blood. Until it's paid, the children remain marked. The daughter must finish what the mother could not." Rowan's breath was hot at my ear as he read over my shoulder. Daughter. His voice roughened. They mean you. The paper slipped from my hands. My wolf slammed against my skin, furious, terrified, demanding to be freed. They're coming for me, I whispered. For us. Rowan's hand closed over mine again, tighter this time, grounding me. His silver eyes burned like a promise and a curse. "Then let them come," he said. "They'll have to go through me first." My chest ached at the conviction in his voice. I should have pushed him away. Instead, I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe someone could stand between me and the weight of my bloodline. But trust was a blade, and blades always cut. The parchment slipped from my hands and fluttered against the scorched wood. The air thickened, too still, too heavy. My wolf pressed against my skin, frantic, as if she sensed the trap before I did. Rowan straightened, scanning the shadows with predator stillness. His hand hovered near the knife at his belt. "We're not alone." A low growl slithered from the rafters, followed by the scrape of claws on rusted beams. Shapes moved in the dark, silent but fast. 3, maybe 4. Their scents rolled in, wrong and sharp, like rot masked by pine. Rowan stepped in front of me, his body coiled. "Stay behind me." I bristled, but before I could argue, one of the figures leapt. Silver eyes flashed in the dark. I barely had time to gasp before Rowan caught it midair, twisting with brutal precision. Bones snapped. The wolf crumpled at his feet. 2 more closed in. My wolf howled inside, demanding release. My fingers trembled with the urge to rip free, to fight, to stop hiding. Rowan slashed his blade in a wide arc, catching one across the chest. Blood sprayed, hot and metallic, and the other lunged straight for me. Instinct roared louder than reason. I shoved my hands out, claws ripping through my skin before I realized I'd let them. They caught the attacker's throat, sinking deep. The wolf gurgled, its weight collapsing against me before I flung it aside. I staggered, staring at the blood dripping from my hands, silver sheen already fading. My chest heaved. The herbs had failed. My wolf wasn't just stirring, she was breaking loose. Rowan spun to me, eyes wide, not with fear, but with something hotter. Fiercer. "You're stronger than you think," he growled. I shook my head, horrified. "You weren't supposed to see." He caught my wrist, his grip firm, grounding. I was always going to see. The last attacker bolted into the night, leaving only silence and the stink of blood. My wolf still paced, restless, pressing against the edges of my control. Rowan's hand on me was the only tether keeping her from tearing free. "Why are they after me?" My voice cracked. "Why do they keep circling my blood?" Rowan's jaw clenched. "Because your mother wasn't the only Hale who made promises." His words hit like a blade to the gut. We stood in the ruined silence, our breaths sharp in the cold air. Rowan's eyes burned into mine, silver catching moonlight. He still hadn't let go of my wrist. "What do you mean?" I whispered, the parchment's words still carved into me. The daughter must finish what the mother could not. He hesitated, then released a ragged breath. My father was part of it. The pact. The betrayal. I was forced to watch the council spill your mother's blood, and I swore then I'd never let them touch you. That oath's been binding me ever since. The floor dropped out of me. "So, you've been following me, watching me, all this time." "Yes." His voice was raw, stripped bare. "Not as the sheriff, not as the council's hound, as me." The truth burned. It should have shattered what little trust I'd scraped together. But when he looked at me, there was no lie, no gavel of judgment, only the same heat that had been circling us since the moment his silver eyes found me. Why didn't you tell me? My words trembled. Because you wouldn't have believed me. His grip shifted, his thumb brushing my pulse like he could anchor it. Because every time I got close, you ran. My chest ached with something sharp, something that wasn't entirely fear. The wolf inside me pressed closer, restless, hungry. You're dangerous, I whispered. So are you. His voice dipped, hoarse. That's why we fit. The tension snapped. I didn't know who moved first. One moment we were breathing each other's air, the next his mouth was on mine, searing, furious, desperate. It wasn't gentle. It was claws against glass, fire against gasoline. His hand slid to the back of my neck, holding me like he'd been waiting years. My wolf surged, teeth bared, finally tasting freedom in the heat of his kiss. I tore back, gasping, blood still on my hands, his taste on my lips. This is wrong. He leaned in, forehead against mine, breath hot. No. This is inevitable. I wanted to shove him away. I wanted to pull him closer. Betrayal and desire tangled so tight, I couldn't tell where one ended. And for the first time in years, my wolf purred instead of howled. By the time we made it back to the apartment, dawn was a thin gray line cutting across the horizon. The world felt wrong, too quiet, too hollow. My lips still tingled from Rowan's kiss, and my wolf prowled beneath my skin, restless, demanding more. But all of that shattered the second I opened the door. The blanket on the couch was crumpled. The textbooks I'd stacked like a fortress lay scattered across the floor. The apartment smelled of ozone and copper, fresh, sharp, undeniable. Jamie? My voice tore out of me, too loud, too desperate. No answer. I darted into his room. The bed was empty, sheets still warm. The window hung open, the curtains stirring in the early morning air. My chest seized. Rowan was already moving, scanning, reading the scene like a predator tracking prey. He touched the windowsill, his gloved fingers brushing against fresh scratches gouged into the wood. His jaw hardened. Mara! He held something out, a slip of paper scrawled in claw marks and blood. I snatched it, heart hammering so hard it blurred my vision. 4 words, jagged and cruel. The mother's debt must be paid. The note shook in my hands. My knees buckled, and I pressed against the wall, the weight of it crushing me. My wolf howled, slamming against her cage, demanding to run, to kill, to save. They took him, I whispered. They took my brother. Rowan's hand landed on my shoulder, firm, grounding. We'll get him back. I jerked away, fury burning through the despair. Don't say that like it's simple. You don't understand. I do. His voice snapped, sharp as a whip. His eyes gleamed, silver storm. I know what it feels like to lose someone to the council's games. I won't let it happen again. Tears blurred my vision, hot and furious. This is because of me. Because of my blood. They never wanted him. They wanted me. Rowan grabbed my face, forcing my eyes to meet his. His touch was fire. His words steel. Listen to me. This is not your fault. This is theirs. And if they think they can take him, they've just declared war. My wolf surged at his conviction, but guilt gnawed deeper, sharper. My mother's letter screamed in my memory. I bartered blood for blood. She had sold omegas to protect us. But the debt hadn't ended. It had only been delayed. Now Jamie was paying the price. "I can't lose him," I choked out, my voice breaking. "You won't." Rowan's thumb brushed a tear I hadn't realized slipped free. His gaze softened, but the promise in it was deadly. "I swear on my blood, Mara, we'll bring him back." The oath seared between us, hot and binding. I wanted to believe him, needed to. But another thought tore through the cracks of my hope, cold and vicious. What if Rowan knew this would happen? What if his alliance, his kiss, his oath, it was all part of the trap? I pulled away, clutching the bloody note to my chest. "If you betray me," I said, my voice shaking with fury, "I will tear you apart with my own hands." Rowan didn't flinch. His silver eyes burned like moonlight on steel. "Then make sure you survive long enough to try." The wolf inside me growled her approval. Because whether Rowan was my ally or my enemy, the hunt for Jamie had already begun. I didn't wait for Rowan. The second the note crumpled in my fist, I launched for the door, my wolf clawing against my ribs so hard it nearly split me open. "Mara, wait," Rowan called, but I was already out into the hallway, barefoot, hair wild, chasing the copper tang of Jamie's scent. The morning air hit me like ice. My lungs burned, but I dragged in breath after breath, tasting the trail. Ozone, fear, pine needles crushed under hurried feet. My wolf howled inside, ripping through the herb's fading hold. Claws threatened to tear through my fingers. My vision sharpened until every shadow bled into shape. Paw prints in mud, broken branches at the tree line, the faint smear of blood on a fence post. Jamie's blood. I nearly collapsed. Rowan caught me by the shoulders, forcing me upright. "Focus. He's close. Don't lose the trail." "Don't tell me how to track my own blood," I snarled, voice warped with my wolf's edge. His grip tightened, but his eyes flared with something hot. Admiration, maybe, or hunger. "Then track him. I'll cover you." We ran. Through the streets, into the woods beyond town, where the air thickened with damp earth and pine. My senses flared so sharp it hurt. The rasp of a crow's wing, the musk of deer, the metallic tang that belonged to Jamie. Every step burned away the herb's leash. My wolf strained forward, teeth bared, and for the first time in years, I didn't fight her. I let her guide me. The trail ended at the edge of a ravine. The rocks scraped, the dirt gouged with drag marks. My knees hit the ground, the world tilting. "They took him down there," I whispered. Rowan crouched beside me, scanning the ravine's depths. His jaw was stone. "This isn't random. They wanted you to follow." I looked at him, blood pounding. Then let's not disappoint them. We reached the bottom of the ravine by dusk. The cave mouth gaped like a wound, damp air exhaling rot and iron. My wolf pressed against my skin, ready to tear anything in her way. Rowan caught my arm before I stepped inside. "Mara, there's something you need to see first." I spun on him, feral. "Every second you stall, Jamie's closer to—" He shoved a folded parchment into my hand. Blood-marked, familiar clawed seal. My heart seized. "Where did you get this?" "Council archives," he said grimly. "I stole it years ago. Couldn't risk you seeing it until now." The parchment trembled in my hands as I opened it. Words burned into my vision. "I, Lyra Hale, pledge the blood of my line in exchange for my children's lives. The Hale daughter will be claimed to finish the oath. The son remains collateral until the debt is fulfilled. My stomach hollowed. My knees nearly buckled. Jamie wasn't an accident. He was collateral. Insurance. My mother. My voice cracked, raw. She offered me. To save him. Rowan's face was shadowed, pained. She didn't have a choice. There's always a choice, I spat, tears burning hot. She chose betrayal. She chose me as sacrifice. His silence was answer enough. Then his next words cut deeper. It wasn't just your mother. My head snapped up. What? Rowan's jaw clenched. His voice was a blade. My father was the one she bargained with. He wrote the oath. He bound it in blood. And I've been carrying his stain ever since. The world tilted. The cave loomed, Jamie's scent tangled with the stench of old magic. And beside me stood the son of the man who had chained my bloodline. You, I whispered, my voice shaking with fury. You've been my jailer this whole time. Rowan stepped closer, anguish twisting his features. No, I've been fighting it. Fighting him. That's why I swore myself to you, why I've stayed in this cursed town, to break it, to keep you alive. My wolf roared, torn between tearing out his throat and pressing closer to the heat of his vow. My chest ached with betrayal, and something far more dangerous, desire tangled with hate. You should have told me. My voice was low, lethal. You should have told me before you kissed me. His silver eyes burned, pain raw in their depths. If I had, would you have kissed me back? The truth sliced through me. No answer would save either of us. From the cave came a sound, a whimper, thin and broken. Jamie, I ripped free of Rowan's grip, my claws itching to unsheathe. We're ending this tonight. Rowan drew his blade, his voice hoarse with conviction. Together. I didn't look at him. Couldn't. Because if I did, I might falter. And there was no room for faltering. Not when blood and betrayal had finally come home to roost. The cave swallowed us whole. Cold air pressed against my skin, damp and heavy with the stink of iron and wet stone. The deeper we went, the more the air hummed, like old magic woven into the rock itself. My wolf pushed forward, her hackles raised, claws aching to be freed. Jamie's scent clung to everything, salt and sweat, fear so sharp it made my throat burn. Each step dragged me closer to him, closer to the truth I wasn't sure I could survive. Rowan walked beside me, blade drawn, his silver eyes flicking over every shadow. The faint glow of his flashlight threw warped shapes on the walls. Claw marks gouged into stone, symbols etched in blood that hadn't dried even after years. This place, my voice came out hoarse. It's a shrine. He nodded grimly. The council used caves like this to seal oaths. They thought the earth itself made the bonds stronger. The words made my stomach twist. My mother had stood here. My bloodline had been bound here. We reached a chamber where the ceiling arched high, dripping with stalactites. Candles flickered, wax running in thick rivers down the rock. In the center was a crude altar, claw scratched and stained with old blood. And on the ground, bound by ropes that stank of wolfsbane, was Jamie. Jamie! I surged forward, but Rowan's arm shot out, barring me. Wait, he hissed. From the shadows, voices rose, low, guttural, chanting words older than language. 4 figures stepped into the candlelight, Their eyes gleamed feral yellow, their bodies twisted by too many half-shifts, as if they'd given up their humanity long ago. The leader's mouth curled into a sneer. The Hale daughter comes to pay her debt. I bared my teeth. Let him go. He laughed, the sound jagged. Your mother promised you'd finish her oath. Blood for blood. You should be grateful we didn't slit the boy's throat on the altar. Jamie whimpered, his wide eyes finding mine. Mara dash dash. The ropes bit deeper as he struggled. My wolf lunged, slamming against my ribs until my vision blurred red. Rowan stepped forward, his blade glinting in the candlelight. His voice was low, lethal. If you think you'll lay a hand on him, you'll leave this cave without your throat. The leader's sneer deepened. You're his son. You bear the same mark. You can't protect her from what's already written. Rowan's jaw tightened, fury storming in his silver eyes. Then I'll rewrite it in their blood. The cave seemed to hold its breath. The four figures crouched, claws scraping against stone. My wolf clawed harder, shredding the last threads of the herb's suppression. I could feel it coming, the breaking point. Jamie cried out again, the sound high and terrified. That was all it took. My control shattered. The shift tore through me, bones cracking, muscles ripping, skin burning as silver fur erupted. The pain was blinding, exquisite, a release I had denied for too long. My wolf burst free with a snarl that shook the chamber. The kidnappers hesitated, fear flickering in their eyes. They hadn't expected me to be this strong. Rowan glanced at me once, his lips curving in a grim smile. That's more like it. Then the fight began. The chamber exploded in motion. The four ferals lunged, their claws scraping stone as they came for us. Rowan met the first with his blade, steel flashing, his body moving with lethal precision. Sparks flew as claw met metal. The wolf howled and crumpled under his strike, blood spraying the altar. Another came for me. My wolf roared, surging to the surface, and I leapt. My claws raked across its chest, fur and flesh tearing beneath my strike. Hot blood filled my mouth as my teeth closed on its throat. It thrashed once, then went still. Jamie screamed, bound on the ground, his scent sharp with terror. The sound fueled me, drove me deeper into the frenzy. My wolf wanted them all dead, every last one who had dared touch him. Rowan fought like the storm, each strike brutal and efficient. His silver eyes glowed in the candlelight, every movement designed to kill. But for every feral that fell, more shadows stirred in the chamber. The air thickened with the stink of wolfsbane and blood. The leader prowled forward, watching us with cruel satisfaction. You're strong, Hale. Stronger than your mother. That's why you'll bleed even better. His words hit like fire, but before I could launch at him, Rowan's arms snapped out, barring my path. His chest heaved, his shirt torn and streaked with blood, not his own. Don't waste yourself on him, he growled. Get Jamie out. No! My wolf snarled, the sound ripping through my throat. I'm not leaving you. The leader laughed, circling. How touching. The sheriff's son guarding his little Omega whore, like father, like son. Rowan's expression fractured into pure fury. He lunged, blade flashing, driving the leader back in a storm of sparks and blood. Their fight shook the chamber, brutal and vicious. I darted to Jamie, tearing at the ropes with my claws. The wolfsbane burned my skin, but I didn't stop until the ropes split and he was free. He collapsed against me, sobbing, his small body trembling. "I've got you," I whispered, voice half growl. "I'll never let them take you again." But then Rowan cried out. I spun. The leader's claw had slashed across his chest, deep and savage. Rowan staggered, blood pouring. His blade clattered to the stone. "Rowan!" The leader raised his hand for the killing blow. Instinct overruled everything. I lunged faster than thought, faster than reason. My claws tore into him, ripping muscle and bone, my teeth sinking into his throat. I tasted death and salt and victory as he collapsed beneath me. The chamber went still. The remaining ferals scattered into the shadows, their courage gone. I turned to Rowan. He was on his knees, one hand pressed to the wound in his chest, blood soaking through his shirt. His eyes, those silver, steady eyes, still burned with fire, even as his body faltered. "You saved him," he rasped, his gaze flicking to Jamie. "That's all that matters." "No." I dropped beside him, pressing my hands over his wound, blood slick and hot between my fingers. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to leave me now." His lips curved, faint and broken. "I told you. I'd stand between you and the council's blade." His voice cracked. "Looks like I kept my word." "Shut up," I hissed, fury lacing the tremor in my voice. "You don't get to talk like this." "Not after everything. Not after—" My throat locked. "Not after you kissed me." His hand found mine, weak but warm, grounding me even through the blood. His silver eyes softened. "Mara." Jamie's small voice rose behind me, broken. "Don't let him die, Mara. Please." My wolf surged, howling, demanding we fight not just for Jamie, but for Rowan too. He wasn't just my betrayer anymore. He was my choice. My impossible, dangerous choice. I bent close, forehead to his, blood smearing between us. "You don't get to die," I whispered. "Not while I'm still breathing." His eyes fluttered, a ghost of a smile on his lips. "Then breathe for both of us." The candles guttered. The cave seemed to shudder with the weight of the oath I'd just made. And in that moment, I realized Rowan wasn't the blade that would break me. He was the bond that might save me. If I could save him first. Rowan's blood poured hot through my fingers, seeping into the stone floor, into me. Too much. Too fast. My wolf snarled, frantic, demanding I tear the wound open further, demanding we heal it with fury and blood. But fury couldn't knit flesh. "Stay with me," I begged, my voice cracking. "Don't you dare leave me now." His silver eyes flickered, dimming. "You can't stop what's written, Mara." "Yes, I can," I snapped. "Watch me." My gaze caught on the altar, on the claw-scratched stone where bloodlines had been sealed. My mother's oath had bound me here, but maybe it could be unbound. I dragged Rowan closer to the altar, ignoring his weak protests, and pressed my palm to the old grooves. The stone was slick with dried blood and candle wax, but beneath it, I felt something alive. Power, thrumming like a buried vein. "Don't, Mara," Rowan rasped, voice broken. "That magic. It takes as much as it gives." I pressed harder, teeth bared. "Then let it take me." My wolf surged, fangs sinking into my own palm until blood welled. I smeared it across his chest wound, over his heart, and the altar shuddered beneath us. the chamber filled with a pulse, deep and ancient, like the earth itself had a heartbeat. Symbols on the walls flared red, the carved words of my mother's oath burning with new light. My blood hissed as it touched his. For a moment, the world bent, and I saw it. The chain of my mother's betrayal, links glowing, binding me and Jamie, pulling tight. I ripped at it with everything I had, pouring my wolf's strength into the wound, into Rowan, into breaking what was never mine to bear. The chain snapped. Rowan gasped, his back arching, his silver eyes flared bright, alive. The wound on his chest smoked where my blood touched it, the flesh knitting together, jagged but whole. I collapsed against him, shaking, blood dripping from my palm, my body drained. His arms came around me, weak but steady, pulling me into his chest. "You're insane," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "You just broke a blood oath." "I'm a Hale," I breathed, trembling. "Breaking betrayal is in my blood." His hand cupped the back of my head, his lips brushing my hair. "And now so am I." Jamie scrambled to us, tears streaking his face, clutching at both of us. "You're okay. You're both okay." For the first time, I almost believed it. But deep inside, my wolf whispered, "Nothing comes without a price." The cave collapsed behind us, stone groaning as the magic consumed itself. We staggered into the gray dawn, smoke curling from the mouth of the ravine. Jamie clung to my hand, Rowan leaning heavy against my shoulder, his breath warm but steady. By the time we returned to town, word had already spread. The council's banners draped the square. Their herald stood tall, voice booming. "Mara Hale, daughter of Lyra, has broken oath and blood. Sheriff Rowan Cole has aided her. They are hereby branded traitors, hunted until debt is paid in full." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Eyes turned toward us, some with fear, some with awe, some with hate. My wolf snarled, but I held her tight, my chin high. Rowan's hand found mine, squeezing, his blood oath still burning between us. He leaned close, whispering so only I could hear. "They can call us traitors. Let them. We'll write our own law now." Jamie's small voice rose, defiant. "We're not traitors. We're family." The word cracked something inside me wide open. For the first time, I didn't feel like a burden. I felt like a storm. I faced the council's banners, fire licking my veins. My mother's betrayal began the fire. But with Rowan and Jamie, I'll decide how it burns. Rowan's silver eyes glinted, fierce and unbroken. "Then let's set the world alight." And that's how my burden became my choice. I was no longer just the daughter of betrayal. I was the woman who broke chains, who chose her brother's safety, and who refused to walk alone ever again. Thank you for sticking with me until the very end of this story. Your time and presence mean more than you know. If this journey gripped you, please subscribe to Rene's Romance Stories, share it with someone who loves a good twist of fate, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear what you would have done in my place. Until next time, may your heart be strong, your bonds true, and your stories unforgettable.